Hello, everybody on YouTube. This is Insane Monster. Now, if you actually saw my community tab as of late, it will show that I am recording this at where we are at 85% that have voted for this What If to get a new part out of a voting pool of about 290 people. So, as the poll dictates, this will be the next What If to get a new part. As for the What If after this, it will obviously be What If Asta had Demon Snow. Now then, this What If has a part 1 and this is part 2, so if you haven't watched part 1, I recommend that you go and, well, obviously go and watch part 1. So, hope you will enjoy, but for now, here is a ad for Beautiful Halo if you want any of the merchandise that you've seen or any other merchandise that you haven't seen from this. Go into the description below and click the link. Hope you enjoy. Now hit it. Sorry about that. I think I misjudged the audio settings, so if that was a bit too loud for you, apologize. Now, with that taken care of, let's get to the What If. Now then, when we last left off, Asta beat the Chain Mage and such, and having the usual moment with the fist bumping with Asta and, thinking about the promise that they made. Now it's time for Asta to train. As he's training, he feels something's off. Like, he feels as though someone's with him all the time, even when he's obviously alone. When he calls out, he hears something. And when he hears it, his grimoire floats in front of him and asks, "Who the hell are you? And what do you want with me?" I never. And also, is it is it normal for grimoire to talk to me in my head? The anti-magic demon laughed and stated that, so unique. You have magic, but it's so adaptable that you haven't been killed by my power. Not just that, it's even been incorporated in it. You're such a unique being. I didn't even think a hybrid of human and my own kind would be possible. He swallows and asks, "What are you talking about? What do you mean your own kind?" The devil laughs as he states, "Oh, that's right. From what I can tell, you grew up in an orphanage. You probably don't even know. Well, let me tell you. You are a halfling, half human and half demon." This surprised Asta, obviously, as the anti-magic demon continued. "Basically, it's the reason why you have two magics. You see, any and all halflings will have two different magic types, though it seems to come much more naturally to you to use both than what I've heard about other halflings." Asta obviously asked, "Okay, but how do you know that I am half demon? Like, We never met before. I never knew my parent or anything like that. The anti-magic demon stated, you can think of it like this. A demon can sense another demon, even if you're only half. Though, I'm not sure. Your flames, they seem familiar. Such a brilliant blue flame. It reminds me of somebody, though I have no idea what happened to him. Asta remarked, what do you mean happened to him? The demon stated that he's been out of touch with what his kind's been up to since being in this grimoire for so long. As he continues, and states that some possible abilities he might have, and starts to guide Asta in the attempt of using them. After some trial and error, Asta was able to actually sprout 2 demon wings. Though they're kind of actually, instead of black, they're blue. As well as sprouting a tail. Though after some practice, he's learned how to control their release and such. Asta obviously asks the anti-magic demon who he is, but the demon just stated that he could just call him D. Make it more simple. Plus, his real name is something he isn't quite fond of, considering it was something given to him by his own kind. This catches Asta's eye, and he asks the obvious question. Why is it that you seem not to like demons, yet you go directly to a demon half-breed? He's just stated that somebody, or more accurate, his own kind, left him in the dust, outcast him in sorts. He hates his own kind. But in you, Asta, I see someone similar to me. Someone who has also been left by their own kind. Whether you know it or not. After all, you never knew your parents, right? So I figured I'd take a chance. There was a large chance that my anti-magic would have killed you. After all, if somebody with magic a was using the sword that I produced from this grimoire, then it would poison them, actually causing them to die. However, yours is so unique that it adapted, even creating black flames and ice. Though your ears do seem to get pointed whenever you use your fire side, so perhaps it has something to do with your demon parent. Over the time of the training, he obviously still meets the sword, the wind mage from the Diamond Kingdom who teaches him about magic swordsmanship. Though, as time progressed for the training, Dee actually talked to him less and less, deciding to watch over him to see what he'll do. He stated as much to Asta, saying that what you do is up to you. Though, if I'm being honest, I'm somewhat concerned about what might happen to you if people like the nobility and royals figure out what you are. Asta asked, what do you mean by that? And why would that concern you? The anti-magic demon just scoffed, saying, because if that happens, I'll be stuck without a user, and I won't be able to get the other swords. This obviously catches Asta's attention, and he asks, what are their swords? I feel like you're not telling me stuff about the weapon I'm using. The anti-magic demon just laughs and says, "Sorry, but I won't want to see you figure it out on your own. It'd be more interesting that way." Asta is just not really getting what this guy's after. So, eventually he just stopped talking to him altogether unless it was necessary, wanting to see how Asta would progress rather than just tell him everything. He finds kind of, guess you would say, a form of, what would be the right word? Entertainment out of it. Asta ends up going the same, like in canon, walking over to the capital for the Magic Knight exam, thinking that flying there by sprouting his wings might cause more trouble for him than he desires. And not to mention that warning Dee gave him about what might happen if the nobility and royals find out what he is. Though this only raises the question, why hasn't he heard anything about demons in the world? Or why hasn't he known? There's just more questions than he can think of, and he ends up fumbling all over his words in his own head, which just makes him more agitated, weirding out to the point where he's asking, "What the hell is up with you?" Asta just states that, "Nothing, I just figured some stuff out and it only raised more questions than I could actually come up with to get answers on." With, making a blank face saying, "That doesn't tell me anything." Eventually they get there like in canon, and while Asta is getting his grimoire checked out, the guy does notice the 5-leaf, but he doesn't know much about anything concerning a 5-leaf clover grimoire. I would imagine something like that is so rare that not everybody knows about it, especially people who, well, I guess you could say just common workplace mages, I guess. So he just lets him in. As he goes in there, the birds are staying clear of him, except for obviously Nero. Though Nero isn't bothering Asta, so he's just leaving her alone. He just stands there since he isn't being pecked at and attacked by the anti-magic birds, so he doesn't bump into Yami like in canon. So, in his mind, he's thinking of a warning that Dee gave him before he left Ha's village, stating that he should probably only stick with ice magic for this exam thing, stating that his pointed ears might, when he uses his flames, although not very pointed, is still somewhat noticeable unless he hides it with his hair and bandana. But he should be on the safe side, considering there will most likely be nobles and royals there. So he's gonna stick with ice for this exam just to get into a squad. As for the test and such, he is able to use a broom and does very well. As for the target practice, he just fires an ice shard. Next would be the creation test, where he makes a ice sculpture of the statue on top of the demon skull in Hod's village of the first Wizard King. Then we get to the battle portion. Oz, still does the same as in canon. As for Asta, he faces a flame magic noble that wants to show off. When the fight begins, the noble goes for an all-out giant fireball, sensing the large amount of mana that Asta has. Asta was able to stop it with an ice shield. The noble didn't understand it, that his ice should have destroyed it, melted it away. He also noticed, along with everybody else, that Asta's ice is way too white to be normal ice. Asta broke the shield, blitzing towards the noble, creating a devil ice make death scythe. As he swings it down to the royal hurries and uses a flame spell to launch him up in the air to try to avoid. He might not have any actual combat practice, but this noble seems to be good enough to evade some fast attacks rather than counterattack. Which is when Asta pulls out his grimoire, pulling out the Demon Slayer sword. While Asta's using his ice, the sword looks appearance-wise to be covered in black ice. As the noble lands, he's then blitzed again, being attacked by Asta with using the black ice Demon Slayer sword. He goes to block it with a flame magic shield, but the shield is instantly cut through, hitting the noble, breaking the ground. Meaning Asta wins, like in canon. As Asta begins to walk away, the noble, frustrated and barely conscious about the blackout, fires off a attack, going directly for Asta's head. So Asta turns around and creates a bit of a, well, he freaks out in his mind, thinking that if they see something like what he's about to do, then there'll be confusion and it could cause problems. So he makes some mist using his ice to chill the air. And while everybody's blinded by it, not being able to see what's happening, Asta eats his flames. Asta's magic works similar to in a combination of the Blue Exorcist flames and Ice Devil Slayer magic from Fairy Tale, which means he can eat ice magic as well as flame magic to recover his mana or to amp up his mana levels even higher. After that, once the fog cleared, they see Asta's alright, wondering what happened to the fireball. They didn't hear an explosion or anything. Which is when the noble finally passed out. Now we get to the selection. Obviously, Yuno goes into the Golden Dawn. As for Asta, he doesn't know much about the squad, and he does get some more hands raised than it was in canon, but he still goes with the Black Bulls. When he sees Yami just kind of going with his gut. Asta seems like the kind of person that goes with first instincts and then thinks about stuff later. So we get to where Yami, Finral, and Gordon bring Asta to the Black Bull's hideout. As he opens the door and looks, he sees just a bunch of crazy people. Vanessa's drunk, Charmy's eating, Ghost is doting over the picture of his little sister, and Luck and Magna are fighting. When Magna throws a stray fireball that goes directly to Asta. So this time he figuring why not and just eats it outright. This catches everybody's attention, when especially now that they just saw something completely crazy, and Yami tells them to quiet down and to meet the new recruit. So Asta is introduced to the Black Bulls and vice versa. Next, we go to the baptism that Magna is conducting. The physical portion is done very efficiently on Asta's end, even more so. Even breaking open the boulder he headbutts. Next would be the combat portion, as Magna throws, basically firing a barrage of flame attacks. Asta breathes, just full on eats the flames. While he does this, he's making sure his ears are tucked in underneath his hair and headband. Yami, Finral, and Gordon aren't understanding what's going on. They never seen this, and they also thought that Asta just had ice magic. After that, Asta produced blue flames, blitzing toward Magna as he goes and throws a fireball directly at him, Asta. Though this fireball instead goes around Asta and then curves to try to hit Asta in the back. Something he hasn't tried before, but is taking a leap of faith. When this is seen, Asta swings the sword back while still going toward Magna. This would destroy the spell, and while Asta is going toward Magna, the flames won't touch him. But Magna is frozen in shock as Asta stops the blade from hitting him right before. Basically, Magna is like faced with a big black fire sword in front of his face. He's congratulated and given his robe as well as the mark on his headband of the Black Bulls. So Yami chimes in asking, "Okay, kid, you got some explaining to do. I thought you had ice magic." This shocks the Black Bulls that weren't at the exam. So Asta puts away the sword and then states, "I do. I actually have two magic types," as he produces ice by doing ice devil roar, freezing a tree solid, and then producing flames over his body, like deep blue flames. The squad, surprised by this, but are excited to have someone like this in their squad, saying that it would be real interesting, as Magnet's calling Asta a real man and such. While all this is going on, we see a figure, a girl with silver hair, on the upper levels of the Black Bull's hideout, just watching from above. And this is where I'll be ending this part of the what if. Now then, as I said in the beginning of the video, the next what if to get a new part will be what if Asta had Demon Snow. I hope that you will enjoy it, and I hope that you enjoyed this what if. Now then, I hope to see you next time, or at least hope that you'll see my next video. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Also remember to hit the notification bell so that you get updated for when the next what if comes out. Please also remember to pay attention to the community tab for any voting and such for what ifs. as well as links to my Discord. Hope you enjoyed, and see you later.